I've had a lot of interest in my previous review of the MW1000 Festool workbench, but some of the more honest commenters pointed out there's far too much of my face and me talking and too little of the bench. So I thought I'd rectify that by spinning the camera around and giving you another talk through referring to a job that we are actually fitting, so you can see how we use it in practice. So first off, here's an overview of what you get if you get it with the extension table. This is the basic thing with a cantilevered work surface at the top that will receive a systainer, although I'm not entirely sure why you'd want to put one on there. This thing under here, this cantilevering pull-out, that comes with it. The set that I've fitted into that pull-out I bought separately, but I would say is pretty essential for getting best use out of the MFT. Oh, not the MFT, is it the MW1000? That cantilevered thing can be unclamped using these side clamp levers, which can be adjusted and moved to any position. And you have these helpful markings that help you to line it up so that it's level. And these are sort of like a cam lock. It's quite stiff, but that will pull out. You can tighten that up. And when that's really tight, it is very rigid. So that goes on to this pretty chunky section here, really good section of aluminium, which goes well into the base, and the rigidity of the thing relies on that, and that works perfectly well. We've got this handle here at the back, which has these little pull-out knobs. So when you pull them both out on both sides, this will, you can see how that cleverly just pushes itself in at that point. That, when you're moving it around, will come up, but it's not doing it now because we've got the extension table on. And when the extension table is disconnected, it will slot down into this back part and engage in this groove with this plastic thing, which is what engages it into the track of the main smaller table. Now, if you watched my previous video, you'll have heard one of my gripes with the system, which is that the way this extension table engages with the other bit, it's quite clever, quite quick. You have to offer it up at an angle, just get that to clip in and then drop it down, and it sort of snugly engages with this profile that it sort of spaces itself off there and clips into the bottom part of the track. My gripe with it was that the drilling of the holes doesn't line up, and I don't really see the logic of it. Now this table is wider, so it could also fly off the front of this or the back, but in any situation the holes don't run through, which limits the usefulness, in my opinion, of being able to square off those holes, because there are situations where the length of holes running through isn't as long as you'd want it to be to square off them. The position of this, it sort of floats, so you can put it in where you want. There's no positive engagement on the positioning there. So I usually just eye it in to have these two in line. But again, that doesn't put the holes in line as you'd want them to be. In terms of how it's made, you've got this removable top, of course. You can buy replacements. You can also get knockoff ones much cheaper from CNC places on eBay. It's just bolted in with a recessed bolt for obvious reasons. This track at the side, one of the most useful things that I find for it is it's somewhere to put your pencils, your bits and things like that, and then you know where they are. So we lose pencils a lot less since using that. Not entirely sure if that's the main purpose of it, but it works for us. We also hang things off it and they remain out of the way of the cut. So clearly that's part of the system, that you've got a lot of clearance for your cut with your rail saw without cutting into any of the edge profile. Now, one thing that can be slightly annoying about that is if you just want to hold a piece of wood and hand saw it, the wood is not supported right at the edge where you'd want your saw to be going past. It has to hang over further. So, as I shared in the previous video, I do still regularly use my old sawhorses, which are also at a more convenient height for kneeling on and sawing off the end of. The whole system can be levelled. So if you use this on its own, it's got a little levelling foot down here. The extension table then can be independently levelled with 2 feet, which I can show you because at some point they came off. I don't think they're particularly prone to keep coming off, but I'm not quite sure why they did, and I didn't get around to putting them back on. So that's how they are. And they will go up into here, so you can level that. And it, like everything Festool, it's been pretty carefully designed, so you've got quite a lot of play up and down to ensure that you get the table in line, whatever ground you're working on. So onto this set. I got this all from Axminster. This is the name of the set. This was my first experience of using an NFT style table, and I really get the benefit of it now. The bits that I've been using most often lately are these ones, which work together with these. So what I find myself doing most of is scribe cuts on site. So, for example, all these panels here. So this big panel that's been fitted against this unit. The table I found was big enough for that. Also, this long worktop. Again, the table's never been too small or the wrong size really for anything I've had to do. So I'll be laying it on and cutting a scribe with the rail saw. But then I'll plane it very often to fit. So if we're then looking at your narrow scribes, like this one here, or the one to the wall, my process is usually to rail saw it off. And I started off trying to keep my cuts on this side of the table, but then I got a bit sloppy and somehow quickly they've spread all over the table. That's what happens. So then what I was getting at is I will set these ones up, which work together like this. Put my piece of wood in that I've partly scribed, and these just work like that. That's open, you push it up tight, and that is set just perfectly to give you a nice tight grip. And then with them being such low profile, I can plane that. So I'm generally switching between the rail saw and the planer, which I'm sorry to say is not Festool. So I usually have a bit of a tangle of wires down here. That's just the reality, and I'm swapping them out with the auto takeoff extractor. So this works really well. This has made my scribing much easier and more accurate and safer, because I'm not sort of propping this up on the trestle and running my planer too near to my hand. Generally I would be planing the marked side nearer to the light, and I can get right in there and really look at it. I thought I would use the side clamping options more than I do. I find it's very rare that I really need to do this, but this is how it works. If you need to, you can then clamp anything like this. So I could hold a board upright like that. But I've not found anything that I find that preferable compared to this option. I do have a gripe with these clamps, which is that the face of them is a hard plastic which has these little slots in it, and these damage the surface. I've found it on the painted finish we use. I've also found it on oak. Even if you just do 2 or 3 clicks, there's a sharpness to this edge which does tend to leave an impression on the surface, so I'm not really too happy with them. Apart from that, they are very well made, strong, quick clamps, and the way they work in the top is if they're pretty much fully extended, you can get them in like that, and then you can clamp them. Something I've been meaning to get as an add-on to this is a type of clamp that is more fixed, because it'd be a lot easier if that upright part was fixed onto the table rather than constantly dropping down, and then you could just clamp that. I think there's one that Craig do, and there's another bit variation that Axminster do. So the other things that you get with this, I haven't found myself using these as much as I thought. So you got your bench dogs that can just act as a useful stop with a flat face, so you just push stuff against that. I mean, a clever use of them for a quick cut or something. You can do this with all different types of stop. You can just put two like that, put a bit of pressure here, and then that's locked in nice and quick, and you can do whatever you need to do to the end of that, knowing that's solid enough. In terms of what else comes in this set, these ones, again, a very useful thing. Actually kind of forgot about them, but they're very low profile, and the dogs will slide, so you can position them in different places, maybe at an angle, and it just allows you then to have a stop that you can push something up against. Even if it was a very thin piece of wood, you could then safely plane it without running into a taller bench dog. So that's those bits over there. That's just the other one of them. These ones allow you to secure whatever you're fixing. So either these little dogs or the black clamps I showed you, or those end stops that go with the black clamps, they're all made in such a way that you can screw this on. Yeah, so that will screw on, and that will hold that tight. So they give you a little bit more precision, a little bit more solidity. So they all have that same thread that will go through the base of the table. There's something else that I've chucked into this box because there was space for it, is the Path dogs. So it's Peter Parfitt's system. If you look that up, you'll find it on Axminster. You have these long dogs. There's two long dogs there. That's the split between them. And short dogs. Now the way they work, tell you what, I'll stop the video. I'll take them out and I'll show you how they work. Right, you're going to have to use your imagination a little bit to see what I'm trying to show with this Path dog system, because the piece of wood that I wanted to cut in this way highlights the limitations of the table width and the hole spacing. Now if the holes had been nearer to the edge, like they are on the little table, I think I would have just about fitted in this piece of wood to cut in this way. So the system works where you put your short dogs, which are very precisely machined, as far apart as you can get them really, and butt a long edge of the piece up against them. You then put the tall dog, which is tall enough that you could cut taller material, thicker material in this way, like that. And if you imagine there was another hole in the grid system, which would mean it's perfectly at a right angle to the long edge, you put that in there, and your track then, by butting up against those, would be perfectly square. So I could very confidently and quickly cut a square cut off the end of that just by butting it up. But the table isn't quite wide enough for that. So that's where a full MFT would prove itself more useful. If I could have been bothered for this video, I probably could have switched the whole table arrangement around and turned that table that way and found enough width between the holes that are on here. However, that would have had the same problem where I'd have turned that way, I wouldn't have enough length here, which would have then been referencing with the short dogs against the long edge of the workpiece, and I couldn't really accurately square off that because I couldn't line that up with the long extension table. So I do find that to be the main downside of this workbench. It is also worth noting that it's quite heavy when everything's on it. I mean, we don't usually bring in other sustainers in it, although I do often put my favourite sustainer, which is my box of tricks and holds my 14.4 volt drill and my most common fixings, some of which are out. I do often put that when I'm working here, and it will clip in. You can also put a Sustainer Mini, which so far I've resisted the temptation to get. I sort of wanted to get it just because there's a space for it, but I didn't really need it that badly. So you can fit a couple or so sustainers on there if you want to, and you could get another pull-out, or you could get the type of sustainer that has pull-outs in it, and make this a real box of tricks with everything you need there. And I may take the time to sort of set that up and choose exactly what goes in it, and make sure I've got all the basics for a job there, but usually it varies so much what you need to bring in that there's no perfect arrangement. Just other comments on it really. The base, I did share before that this base cracked. It was cold weather and I was pulling it over a threshold, and it really isn't all that easy to manoeuvre over a threshold. I often find with British houses that the width of the base there is just about as tight as it can be to the door width. In fact, in this particular house, it was wider, so we had to bring it in sideways, carrying it in. Well, on a PVCU threshold, I did just snap. See, this bit just snapped off. Festool have been very good. I contacted Axminster, they contacted Festool. They sent me out a full base with certain parts like the adjustable feet sort of pre-fitted. So I've got that ready to switch out, but it's actually not been such a problem that it's been a priority to switch out. I haven't done that yet. I'm sure there's more I could say. If you know more about this, the pros and cons, please share it in the comments, because that will help other people. One little thing, just that these quite easily and cleverly sort of clip. Once you undo that clip, that wing folds in, and the legs fold up within the profile of this. What you're meant to do is disengage it, lift it off that first, turn it upside down, fold the legs, and then slot it in. So there you go, a slightly better review than the previous one, where you can see more of the thing itself. If it's been helpful, do let me know.